perhaps one of the biggest questions I get from couples is, how do you stay on the same page? How do you keep moving forward? I thought we should take a look at a couple who is investing together and making it work with clear roles and clear communication. Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I have a show that I have been trying to get scheduled for about a month now. I first saw this couple on their Instagram when their handle is Rentals to Wealth. So you knew I had to get engaged with them and go, okay, what are these folks doing? You know, this whole one rental at a time story kind of jives with Rentals to Wealth. And we've got them today. We've got a husband and wife team, do-it-yourself landlords on the East Coast. So let's welcome them to the show, and they can tell who they are and what else they do in this world. How you guys doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having us. That was a great introduction.
I try.
So I'm Lauren, and
I'm Kyle.
There you go. And we are based in New Jersey right now, and we also invest there, which we sometimes get some interesting remarks because how can you invest in such a high tax, high cost area? But we've seemed to have been able to figure it out. So we started investing back in 2017 with a house hack, and it's kind of grown from there. And since that, we've done a property a year. So we bought one in 2017, one in 2018. We're working on house in 2019 right now, and are on track to buy one in 2020. So right in line with your one rental at a time kind of idea. So
wow, that's awesome. So again, a house hack was the first one. So is that traditional? Hey, let's go buy the 4 or 5 bedrooms, rent it out to girlfriends and friends, or what did you mean? Just so we're clear, what's a house hack in your mind?
So a multifamily that we live in primarily,
multifamily,
and rent out the other units to kind of help with that mortgage payment.
Definitely. And it was a HUD property, which is housing and urban development.
Yeah.
And needed a lot of renovations. Fortunately, I married a guy who's very handy, which lucked out. So it took us about 7 months.
Yeah, about 7 months. Yeah.
It was a big learning curve.
Yeah, because we were doing a duplex, so we're renovating 2 homes essentially. So
right.
For that to be our jumping off point, it was a pretty big task to tackle. But we learned a lot of things. That's being our first property. Made some mistakes, but we're learning as we go.
Definitely. And to try to kind of like accelerate our progress moving forward, we rented out the first floor, which is the larger unit, and then we lived in the smaller second floor unit, just so we can get the most income. So we were very cozy in a little 500 square foot one bedroom with us and our new rambunctious puppy. So it was interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. Again, you're doing what I talk about all the time, being conservative, sacrificing one rental at a time, and you continue to do this, it will pay off. I promise you that. I have a book that talks about a 15-year journey that we went through that gets you there. So you're on the right track. Have confidence. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, we feel like we're on the right track. I mean, so far it's been working out for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. So talk a little bit more about this first property, because everybody likes to talk about it. How'd you find it? Did you just find it on HUD.com or some government website, a sign? How'd you find it?
Yeah, so we were primarily looking on MLS with a real estate agent, and we saw this one and we're like, we really want to go see it. So it was a HUD property, but it was still listed on the MLS. And we had to bid for it online. So that was also an interesting experience because it's our first property and we're going to just blindly bid online. Like, that's scary. And very anticlimactic. Like, I told them what we wanted to offer. The realtor was like, okay, bidding opens next week. I'll enter it for you. I was actually away on like a friend's girls trip. And I was like, so we just bid and that's it? And he's like, yeah. And then we wait and we hear if someone beat us and then that's it. So it was, I don't know, I guess I was thinking that there was going to be so much more to it. And then he called us, said your offer was accepted. Here are the next steps.
Right.
So it was quite exciting, emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
I definitely cried because I was like, what are we getting ourselves into?
And I looked at it and I was, I saw and I said, you know what, this absolutely can work.
Yeah.
It was just really getting in there and doing it.
Yeah.
So did you actually get inside, or was one of these, you had to look through a window and blindly guess, or could you actually do a walkthrough and kind of estimate?
We were able to do a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Okay.
A few times, actually. I think we went back twice before we put an offer on. But we didn't know what the hell we were really doing. So you say, to get estimates or to figure out what you're going to do. I'm like, yeah, we'll do for 30,000. And then 7 months later, I think we spent 70,000.
Yeah.
Because
she said 30 and I was like,
Well, because I thought of all of I'm a list Excel person. I love a document. And I was like, okay, I sat down on like Home Depot's website and I was like, a toilet costs this much. Countertops cost this much. Like I listed everything out. I was like, we're doing a lot of the labor. I did all the material costs, but I only did what I call like pretty material costs. So like the vanity and the tile. I didn't think about lumber. I didn't think about
finish.
The finishes, the tools we were going to need to do all this work. And then obviously it needed a lot of plumbing and electrical, which is all the work that no one sees that you spend so much money on. The house sat vacant for a while. So we had we did a whole new HVAC system because they didn't properly winterize it. So while it was radiant heat, the system was shot. So it was like you could redo that system for, $5,000, or you could just do full central air and forced heat for, a couple thousand more. So we're like, let's just go for it.
Yeah.
And then plumbing, the waste lines, like we spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to our plumber, to the point where I was just writing him checks for like $6,000 like all day.
Oh, this is awesome. So were you able to get a loan on it? Was it in a kind of condition where they would do some kind of loan, or owner occupied loan, or fixer loan, or what?
Yeah, we did a conventional mortgage, a 30-year mortgage. And fortunately, I was a big saver growing up. Thanks, Dad, for instilling that in my brain. So I had 70 grand for renovations just sitting there. We put some on credit cards, 0% interest credit cards. But we were able to kind of just finance it with 20% down and then fund the majority of the renovations in cash. And then after we were finished and had a tenant in place, 6 months later, we did a cash out refinance and pulled some of that cash out. Yeah.
Very, very cool. And Kyle, so you're the one or at least not only, but it sounds like you're the handy person going in there, swinging the hammer and doing all these things. Did you have those skills beforehand, or was it kind of learning trial by fire?
So I grew up, my father was always a DIY guy.
Okay.
Jack of all trades. So I did learn a lot of this stuff growing up, but Hurricane Sandy hit and my family has a house in Seaside Park. Okay. So it wasn't until then that I was able to put all of those skills that I've learned growing up into one project. Okay. And when we did it, I was like, you know what, I can do this. And then Lauren got into real estate investment and we did the walkthrough of the duplex and I looked at it and I was like, we could definitely do this. And we knew what the houses went for in the area, and it was, staying within budget in that area. And it didn't really bother me that much, just because I knew that when we were done, the house itself was beautiful.
Yeah, the ARV was going to be there, kind of no matter how much over budget we went.
For sure, yeah.
All right, so you get to the end, you fill it up, you wait 6 months for the seasoning period, you do the cash out refi. Do you get all your repair money back? Most of it? Some of it? All of it?
We could have probably gotten it all back, but then the cash flow wouldn't have been affected, obviously, for the rental portion of it. So I, also being very conservative and not risk averse, I was like, just because we can doesn't mean we should. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
We still have quite a bit of equity left in that house, but I feel like it's a good foundational house for us to have. It cash flows really well, and we can I'm looking into like investor HELOCs, which I heard are a thing. So if we could do like a HELOC on that, I feel like it's just a good kind of sturdy investment for us to have. So I didn't want to pull too much out.
I'm embarrassed because the first time I could do a cash out refi, I'm like, sure, whatever the bank lends me, of course they're conservative. No, took a very cash flow positive property, turned it negative every month. It was one of my worst mistakes. And I call those alligators because they eat you alive. So you're much smarter than I am at the beginning because I made that mistake. All right. So you stayed put after the first deal. It worked out. You're living in a 500 square foot, comfy, cozy, renting out the bottom. What does number 2 look like? You're like, some is good, more is better. What was the next one?
I mean, so number 2 was definitely different, and we weren't even expecting to invest in what we did. It was a different area of Camden County. It's kind of southern part of New Jersey. Cheaper tax-wise, but it was a single family.
Yeah, and we were hardcore multifamily. We have a goal of how many units we want, and multifamilies are obviously the way to do that. And for obvious reasons, we're not even looking at single families, economies of scale. Yeah. And, there's only so many multifamilies for sale that you can scroll through at night when you're on the couch and let me just change my filter and look at some single families. And we found one and I was like, there's no way. This is listed so cheap. Like, this is a great deal. So we called our realtor and went and looked at it. And it was a little difficult because we're like, this isn't our strategy. Yeah. But at the same time, we're like, this is going to cash flow the same amount as our duplex.
And cost like half.
Yeah, and cost half. So, it was kind of a no-brainer. And I think that was also when a mindset kind of shifted for us, that it's not about the number of units, but about the cash flow.
Wow, look at you figuring all this out early, because it is. We often get tied to unit counts. Like, people ask me all the time, how many unit counts you have? Almost 200. They don't ask about what my cash flow is. It's not. I've seen people have 200 units and be broke, right?
Yeah.
It's what's your cash flow. That's really what should matter. So that's pretty awesome. So again, it was just a steal of a deal. How was it missed by others, you think? Was it bad pictures, bad description? Because it sounds like it was an MLS for everyone. Did you ever figure that out?
I mean, it was in an area that isn't really, there's no new buildings going up. There isn't full renovations going, but now that we're in that area, as we drive around, you do see people investing in that area. So I don't really know why it's that, because it was pretty clean. Yeah. It was a clean property. We really didn't have to do much renovation to it, major, a new roof, but there was nothing major. So I don't really know why, but the numbers were there. Yeah. So
I mean, there was another bidder. We had to kind of do like best and final, and paid maybe like a couple thousand more than we wanted to. But yeah, I don't know why other people weren't really jumping on it. I think at this point, if it was today, it definitely would have been an issue, because this area has definitely gained a lot of interest in the last year. Yeah. So I think it was just like good timing.
Awesome. That you just got to look every day, right? Like you say, sit on the couch and scroll. I still do it after 20 years. Just change my filter. Scroll. Yeah.
We were in the middle of renovating that one, and we're looking around the neighborhood like, what other one can we buy?
Right. Put a sign in the yard. Call me if you want to sell, right? Exactly. Yeah. Very cool. So, okay. So let's talk about this. In your introduction, when you open it up, it's like, hey, we know we invest in a high price, high tax area, which, I invest in California, so I get it, right? I'm right there with you. But you saying that, you probably hear from lots of your friends, why don't you go to the Midwest? Why don't you go to the South? Why don't you talk about why not out of state? I mean, I have my opinions, but what are your opinions on out of state investing?
I would say first and foremost, I like being a part of it. Obviously, because we enjoy doing the renovations. I enjoy managing them. It's fun for us. And just from a, security foundational point of view, I just feel like it's safer if you can drive to it, if you could see it, if you could touch it.
Yeah.
Also, we kind of invest in two different towns. One town is pretty already vibrant and thriving. And the other town is a little bit more up and coming. And I like being part of that revitalization, and I like being part of that community. And so if this property is 500 miles away, you can't go to a town hall meeting.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's awesome, Lauren. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. You self-manage, right? Do-it-yourself landlords. Why the heck do you do that?
I would say, so I primarily draw
she
women. So I would say it first started off from a control point of view.
Okay.
Am I supposed to hand this precious baby that we just renovated so dearly off to somebody else? Well, and also our first one was a house hack, right? So it would almost be for us to manage that out.
Yeah.
And that was a good kind of training wheels process. So, did all of the research, read, met with lawyers or whatever, followed all the rules, and realized that it wasn't that difficult. And again, from a control point of view, I liked picking who was going to live in our house, and it's not a lot of effort, to be honest. I mean, one thing that we definitely do before is during renovations, we take care of all of the CapEx. Like we do not want a leaky toilet call at 2 a.m. I do not want to hear that the sewer drains backed up or or the roof's leaking. So we take care of all of that for our own sake, straight from the get-go, to really limit maintenance.
And luckily she has that mindset, because I go to her while I'm doing a renovation. We kind of look at it as she does everything pre-close, I do everything renovation, and then she manages. So I'll go to her with something like that, with a waistline, and be like, this thing needs to be gone. But it's, $2,500 to $3,000 worth of plumbing that you can't see. And that's a lot to put out for something that you don't even look, you can't even see. It doesn't
and a tenant doesn't really care. Like when you're showing the unit, you're like, look at this brand new waistline. Like, okay.
So I'm glad that she has that mindset, because it's really easy when I go to her and tell her that needs to go within budget. Yeah. And she's on board with it. So.
Yeah. Well, you're doing all the right things, because lots of people cheap out, right, with stuff you can't see. Oh, we'll just snake the line. Probably not a great idea, right? Can get cracked. I mean, it's just more expensive later. So again, not cheaping out during the remodel is again a great thing. Again, self-managing. You're absolutely right. You don't want that call. I can't tell you, for like 3 years in a row we had an emergency call either on Thanksgiving or on Christmas. It's just like what. The stuff this can happen. So how many units do you self-manage today?
So right now we just have 4 units. So I'm just self-managing those 4.
So you have 4 tenants.
Correct.
What's it like managing 4 tenants?
Pretty uneventful.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, luckily.
I just,
knock on wood.
We're talking about things breaking on Thanksgiving, Mike.
Sorry.
I mean, I did get a text today so one of our units just has a history of getting some white furry visitors, some mice. And it was the unit we lived into. And so I know it's not because the tenants are leaving their trash out. I just know it's that it's getting cold and the mice are trying to come into warm areas, and the house is framed and whatever. So, I mean, we just have a plan with a local pest control company, and so I got a text, hey, we saw a mouse. Okay. I spent 2 minutes calling the exterminator, scheduled for them to come. I mean, it took all of maybe like 8 minutes of my time, and the tenants will open the door for him. He'll go, and I'll get the bill. So, yeah, I mean, I would say one of the things that has really helped me kind of self-manage is really separate stuff. Like it is a business. And when someone texts me that there's an issue, I cannot react like, oh my gosh, this thing. It's okay. Yeah. Here's an action. I'll now complement it with another action and find a solution. So
it's really helped, like getting a team of people with responsibilities that we could delegate. When something like that happens, just having somebody you can call, because that was something for us. The learning curve was who is that person that we're going to call? If we're DIYers, who am I calling to snake the toilet or take care of the pest control? So we've now on our third property been able to kind of have that team and somebody that we can get on the phone and give a call to. So
that's pretty awesome.
So
I don't know the town very well. How far, you talk about 2 different areas. Are you talking 20 minutes from your house, 40 minutes? Like how far are these units spread out?
So since we moved out of the duplex, we actually moved back in with my parents.
Okay.
So
saving money. I like it.
To buy another multifamily, hopefully.
To house hack again.
Yeah, for sure.
I like it.
So, we're about 45 to 50 minutes from.
Oh, okay.
Both areas.
Either properties that we go to, we're the same distance, but all within 15 minutes of each other. All 3 properties are within.
Right.
15
So once you get there, you're 15 minutes. The circle. Yeah. Gotcha. Yep. Okay. Very, very cool. And When you look out at your future, do you have a number where you say it doesn't make sense to self-manage, like at 10 or 20, or have you thought about that at all? Or is it like put systems in place, we'll do it our way for a long time, you think?
So I think we kind of have like parallel strategies and we work towards both of them and we'll see which one kind of ends up going. But the current plan is that to cash flow enough to potentially replace my salary in the next few years,
Okay.
so that when we start to have children, I don't want to say be a stay-at-home mom because my job will be property manager.
Exactly. Yes.
But I want to have systems in place enough where managing it is easy. You know, it takes a couple hours a week or whatever. When we get to the point where we're like both trying to fully retire, I mean, I think we're definitely going to throw it over to property manager. But it's also kind of crazy that most of them do it by a percentage of the rent, because the properties that cost the most are the easiest to manage, and the properties that have the lower rent are usually the ones that have the most issues. So, I mean, maybe we'll get to a point where the lower rent properties, maybe we'll throw over to a PM and keep the higher price ones since they're easier to maintain.
Yeah. You'll have options. And again, I think replacing your income is the right first goal. And again, being a property manager, the LLC's expenses you all get to write off for taxes, and you know, being home to raise your children is the most important job. So that's pretty awesome that that's in your future. So you're going to stay local, you think? Relatively local?
Yeah. I love the area that we're investing in, actually, and I would love to move down there, for our forever house. But I think investment wise, I think this area, you know, we're going to just keep working this area as long as we can.
Yeah.
I mean, we have like a game plan, but I also don't want to say we're stuck to the game plan. Like if there are other opportunities. I
mean, I never would have thought we'd be investing in single families, and here we are.
There you go. So I am curious, this rentals to wealth Instagram is awesome. I mean, do you guys do that yourself? Because it's pretty cool what you guys are putting out. So everybody needs to follow it. Who's in charge of that?
That's me. Well, actually, I will say it used to be 90% me. And then lately I made Kyle like log into the account on his phone too. And I was like, you're the one doing the majority of the renovations. Like, I need you to really, you know, post up on the stories too. And he has been killing it in the story.
Oh, he has.
Yes, I'm so proud.
Yeah, if you guys, if you really want to see stuff going on, log in and sign up to Rentals to Wealth Instagram. It is, I look at it every day. It's pretty fun.
I get so jealous though, because I'll be sitting at my like 9 to 5 job at my desk, and he's like hammering away, building stuff, putting stuff together. And I'm like, oh, I just want to be over there with you.
Yeah, I think we missed this in the introduction, but both of you have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. So 40, 50-hour week jobs, just like everybody else.
Yep.
I'm the standard 9 to 5, and
I work shift work.
Yeah.
But it helps out that it gives me a lot of time off in between my work days. So it gets me there during the week to meet with guys if I have a plumber coming in, electrician. You know, it really opens it up, and that definitely helps.
Oh yeah, without a question. I mean, that's. Again, we missed that introduction, right? You're married, husband-wife team, full-time job, doing this one rental at a time in a busy, high-price, high-tax area. It feels like my story, just in a different state, because we did this. My wife and I did this in California 15, 20 years ago. It's pretty cool. So where are you taking this thing? Where's next? Have you already bought the 2019 property? I think you did.
Yeah.
Yes, we're renovating that one right now.
We are. So I think we're probably going to be about 4 weeks out from being complete on that. Then we kind of just get back into saving mode until we can, hopefully find another multifamily that we can house hack in relatively the same area. There's a historic downtown right near us that we'd like to get into.
Awesome.
We rented there prior to buying the first HUD home. So we'd like to get into that area.
Cool. So I'm just curious, because I don't know New Jersey at all. Let's go back to the HUD home. So that cost, what'd you pay for that roughly? Do you remember?
Yeah, 117.
So let's call it 120. Then you put 70 in, if I remember.
Correct.
Right? So you're 190 in. What did you end up getting once you moved out? What's the total income for that property, roughly? The bottom and the
Total
top.
rent is 2,500.
Wow. Very cool. Now I can see why you're cash flowing really well. That's pretty cool. Even after your cash out refi, that's awesome. And you have 30-year money. It's fixed. You're not doing any arms or anything silly.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. I'm just making sure. I've lived through the crash. I saw people do lots of silly things before. So I'm just making
I
sure.
want that fixed rate for 30 years at
Yeah.
the owner-occupied
Oh, good point.
level. So,
Yeah,
yep.
very, very cool. All right. And then the next house hack, do you think it'll be another duplex, or do you try, I guess you just stay fourplex and below, or do you have your eyes only on fourplexes or what?
So at least a duplex, preferably a triplex or duplex.
Yeah.
We want to say, 4 or below so we can
Yep.
get residential financing.
Of course.
But there's a triplex on the market that we really have our eye on, but we just I don't want to say we don't have the funds right now, but maybe just aren't sure if we want to like jump right into this next project before we're really wrapped up with this first one. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about that a little bit, because I don't know if you're seeing it. So actually I'll ask it this way. Are you seeing a changing market? It sounds like you look every day, which is awesome. You've been looking every day for at least 3 years. Are you sensing a little change in the market in New Jersey?
Yes and no.
Oh,
I would
okay.
say both areas that we invest in, prices are increasing within the last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I personally have not seen a slowdown.
Okay.
I mean, obviously winter, so it's slowing down in its seasonal respect, but the kind of market slowdown that people are talking about, I'm not necessarily seeing.
Okay.
I mean, part of me is like, if it's going to happen, can it happen like right now? Because then we'll like be able to buy our next property and we'll just, buy as many as we can.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily seeing any signs of it. And I also feel like to wait because you think that there's going to be a slowdown, it can just turn into, you're waiting for 6 months on a year, then 2 years before it never happens and you never entered the market or you never bought the next deal. So, the timing is never right. Just make sure that when you do invest that you got some safety and wiggle room in there, that if it did correct, you're still okay.
Yeah, very well said. Again, the right mindset. What you will see happen, because again, we invested all the way from 03 to 08, which was like an upcycle like this, right? So we did that whole time. Then the market rolled over and we invested the whole way down. Then it went back like this. So I guess what I would see is price changes would be the first thing, or price reductions, I should say, price reductions. That would be the first indicator that there may be a real slowness going on. So if you're not seeing price reductions just in the MLS, then the market's still probably rising. So,
and also with interest rates going down, technically people can pay more for a property. So
true. Yeah. It's all about payment, right? It's not really about the price. It's all about payment for most people. Very, very cool. So I'm curious, where besides Rentals to Wealth Instagram, which everybody has to follow, is there another place where they can follow your journey or see what y'all are doing? Or is that like the spot?
That's the go-to spot. That's where I'm most responsive, Kyle as well. We do have a blog, rentalswealth.com, where I'm not as active as I once was. I still throw some stuff up there every now and then, but Instagram's where it's at for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And then let's ask, so 2025, I'm guessing, Lauren, you're retired and you're at least a mom of 1 or 2 by then, I'm guessing. Not to put any pressure on you, Kyle, but that's...
I think 2.
That's my feeling I'm getting from this conversation. And then Kyle, you're still working. Is that kind of a fair guess?
I unfortunately will still be working.
We're kind of torn in that he's so passionate about renovating the houses, and I would love to get to a point where real estate is self-sustaining for both of us. But not to speak for you.
I love my job.
Yeah.
I do. So it offers me the time off to also do the home renovations, which I love doing also. So my time off, I'm doing a hobby that is making us money. So. And
he gets a really nice pension at the end, which I won't let him let go of.
I understood. So that's terrible. So you love your day job, or you love your 40-hour week job, shift work. You love your hobby. You love your wife. I don't get it, Kyle. What's wrong? I don't get it. You have the perfect life.
Commute is an hour to current projects.
Oh, your commute. Oh, I feel so bad for you. Okay. All
I will
right.
say,
Well,
when we're in like true renovation mode, the two things that go are diet and exercise.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we have just been eating like Taco Bell, Chinese food, pizza.
It's bad.
Like anytime we're at the house, you know, we don't have a
It's so
refrigerator.
good.
Oh, it's so good. Like we always talk about that when we're renovating a house, we're eating pizza on the floor, we're eating sub sandwiches in the back of the pickup truck. I mean, we love it. We have a good
The
time.
struggle that builds character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's one question that I thought I'd ask early, but I want to ask to close it is clearly you two still like each other, right? Husband and wife teams, I mean, you laugh, but real estate investing could be stressful, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not in
that TV show you say we'd be terrible on?
Oh, Amazing Race.
Amazing Race. We always had a joke saying that if we were on Amazing Race, we wouldn't even leave where we started because we would just be arguing the whole time. But it hasn't been like that, really. So she's the budget and I'm just creating. So I thought that it would have been, we'd be bickering a little bit more.
Yeah.
We work so smooth together. It's pretty surprising.
I would say it's brought our relationship. It's made it stronger.
Yeah,
I mean, there's like, the little things like at dinner, I'm like, oh, I really want to bring up that budget thing, but I don't know if I should say it because we're having a really good time.
Yeah.
But
I think you've done a couple of things that, again, I don't know if you even notice them, but I talk to so many people. I just want you to realize what you've done. You divided the segregation of duty clearly, right? There are clear owners, right? You're finding the deals, if I understand it right, Lauren. Kyle, I'll just call you the hammer, right? You're the creator, the fixer, and then she's the budget and the property management. The lines are clear. There's no gray area. And you both have the same joint vision. You're working towards the same goals. What you all are doing with this and Rentals to Wealth Instagram is people need to follow because it's not every day I see this. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this has been a lot of fun. Anything you want to close with? Any last words for people thinking about getting started? How to work together as a husband and wife team?
The house hack. I mean, honestly, as the first project, you keep your renovation close to home. And I thought that made the transition into real estate investment really pretty smooth.
It really is investing with training wheels because it's one mortgage, it's your mortgage, so you would have it anyway for the most part. So it really took some pressure off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool.
The last thing, which I say to anyone who always comes talks to us, is by no means do I want to preach getting a bad deal, but the first deal is where all of the education comes from. And you cannot learn those lessons without actually taking that first step. You can read all the books and you can listen to all the podcasts and you're going to learn amazing information, but the personal strength and mindset that you get from actually placing an offer, closing on a house, calling a contractor, those things can only come with action. And so we highly preach, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
I will leave it at that. Just do it. Thank you very much, Lauren and Kyle. This has been so much fun. Again, go to Rentals to Wealth Instagram. You won't be disappointed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.